Hey everyone, how you all doing tonight? I found a story here. This is from here in Indiana. Um, Unsolved mystery case story, but it's been solved. Now, it's called The Dead Men Do Tell Tales. Now, comes prepared to come prepared to stay, it says at the beginning. Now, on April 20, 1908, a mysterious fire raged through a small brick farmhouse of Belle, Gunness, a woman who lived outside the pleasant, uncheering town of LaPorte, Indiana. Now, the fire at first seemed to be no more than a horrible tragedy. They claimed to live, claimed the lives of Belle and her three lovely children, aged 1, 9, and 5. But the question began to emerge from the smoldering ruins, the answer in unsolved mystery that would emerge from the ruins. And would make a headline across the Midwest at the time. Now, in life, the 48-year-old Belle Gunness had stood just under 5.5 feet tall, but had weighed a mass of 280 pounds. However, the body was found in the remains of her home was no more than 150. Had the blaze somehow burned away from the flesh from Belle's portly, big king body. No one could really say for sure, since the head of the corpse was missing. How had this happened? Could a fallen section of the house sever her head, or had it been cut off by a murderer who had set the fire to the house to hide the crime? Now, Belle was no stranger to the mystery to the controversy. Several years before, her husband Peter had been killed, according to Belle, when a meat grinder had toppled off his shelf in the kitchen, where he had struck him in the head. But when the coroner looked at the body, he alleged that this was a case of murder. Now, to make matters worse, one of Belle's children even told the classmate that her mother had hit him over the head with a cleaver. And authorities investigate Belle was so convincing, so formal inquest that no charges were ever filed after her husband died. Now, Belle was never considered a proper widow. It became commonly known in the town that she had took her handyman Ray Lamphere to her bed only winter nights. Now, it appeared Lamphere that the sheriff would turn to when he started having his own doubts about the accidental fire at Belle's home. He considered the case a defiant example of murder of arson. He set two of his deputies dragging in the debris from the house for Belle's head, and sent two others to arrest Lamphere when drinking. Slow-witted handyman often burst of sleeping with his employer, which came surprise to those who only saw Belle as the very heavy woman liked to dress in men's overalls, and her own hog butching. There was other sides to this woman, though, which Ray saw, as well as numerous strangers who were often seen going for carriages rides with Belle on Sunday afternoon. Now, on those occasions, Belle was seen wearing corsets and her fine clothing, with hair down in the long, latest style of women's magazine. Now, the magazine comes from like Chicago, New York, unrecognizable from the rough farm woman who you think would do this. Look at these magazines. Um, Accompanied by a handsome young man who had arrived with his suitcase at the railroad station a few days before. Now, Ray had endured those attractive strangers, but never lost his temper over any of them until winter of 1908. At the time, he was introduced as a gentleman of South Dakota. Andrew Higlin, Belle new husband to be. Lamphere protested, and Belle fired him. Now, Lamphere soon began drinking heavily and began showing up Belle's house. She had him arrested, trespassing neutral times, saying told the sheriff that I'm afraid that he'll set fire to his place, which, strangely, um, it's kind of strange when he just said that. Now, immediately came back to mind the sheriff Smitzer and had Lamphere locked up, charged with murder of Belle and her children. The handyman claimed my computer's acting up. The handyman claimed come on. Claimed that the innocent, but he cries fall on deaf ears until Isles Hickam showed up in the town of South Dakota, searching for his missing brother, Andrew. He told the Sheriff Smith, that Andrew had answered a moral ad that had been placed by Belle in Norwegian language newspaper. In her reply, Belle offered to true love of life of widow blessed, but also mentioned a quick $1,000 that she needed to pay off her mortgage. She ended her letter with, "My heart beats in wild rapture for you. Come prepared to stay forever." Apparently, he did, and he withdrew his life savings from the bank and never heard from him again. Now, by the time Isles arrived in Port, Indiana, he was sure his brother had met with foul play. Now, he became even more convinced when he went out to the ruins of Belle's home and watched as the man digging for her head turned up men's watches, as assorted bones and human teeth instead. He searched through the property of his own and shouted to the men who started digging up the rubbish hole that was located Belle's hog pen. As they began turning the earth, they found 4 bodies. After they skillfully sliced a part of a wrapped oilcloth, one of the head belonged to Andrew. Now that's kind of strange. It sounds like this woman's like a crazy woman, and all she was getting after these guys is money. Now, the town was shocked, and more men came out to the farm to join the search. On the following day, 3 more bodies were discovered, and in all, 14 of Belle's victims were pierced together with a quantity of teeth, bones, and watches left over. Now they began to appear from all over the region to claim bodies. All of them told of a lonesome brother, uncle, cousin answering Belle's ad. Now, traveling hopeful Laporte with their lives savings stuffed in their pockets, Sheriff Smith estimates Belle had made about $30,000 from her victims. She had drugged them and then cut them up as she did for her hogs. Now, he found many additional male teeth in the ruins, but only one which could be linked to Belle. This convinced some of the locals that the 150-pound body had been Belle, but others saying that women who would leave her children to die in the fire so that she could escape, certainly not at the kicking out of her own teeth and insert them in large, put them where thinking she's dead. Come on. Now, the lingerie controversy spilled over into the courtroom dispute of discoveries of Belle's property. The sheriff doggedly persisted in bringing Ray to trial for her murder. Both sides fought, heard, and the jury eventually brought in rather a curious verdict. Now, Ray was acquitted of the murder, but was convicted of setting the fire on the house. He received sentences for 2 to 20 years in the state penitentiary. He eventually died in the prison, having contract tuberculosis in jail while waiting trial, but he confessed his role in Belle's crime to his cellmate before he had this disease. He told him that was aware of Belle's murder activities and even buried bodies for her when she was finished cutting them up. He said that the headless woman that was found in the fire was the female that Belle had found in Chicago. A derelict. Sounds like a hooker or something that to look like her. She had poisoned the woman with, I can't read it, strong medicine that could kill, and then had placed her on the bed with the children. She had removed one of her own teeth, then set the house on fire. After that, she had vanished with the money that the men had unwittingly brought to her. Now, Ray was supposed to hear from Belle after she got away safely, but he never had. Unbelievably, the handyman died in prison and still loved with that human monster. Now, whatever happened to Belle, no one knows. She vanished without a trace in April 1908 and never heard from again. So it's quite interesting wherever she went to. If anybody heard the story of that somewhere in the country of a name Belle, Gunness, somewhere out there, it's on the Indian website. Dead Men Do Tell Tales. Has a picture of the 3 children and Belle. If she changed her name, well, no one would know, but only she could be able to tell the story before she died. Well, that's about it. Hopefully you like this story, and talk to you all later. Bye now. come.